Greetings and welcome to the energy of Scorpio. The 8th house is open. Transformations we will look at for the month of September 2023. Please take only what you will. We will look very deeply into the quantum triangle. The quantum triangle is a 6-card spread in which we will triangulate between two realities, two gross manifestations, two parallels, two possibilities of, sort of universal alignment for the energy of Scorpio. And what happens is these two are triangulating essentially through 6 cards, potentials for past, present, and future. The present moment is usually a mode of apotheosis, a way of sublimating or bringing forward the archetype of the hero. And not to say that there is a heroic Scorpio out there, or that there isn't, but essentially what comes out of it is a mode of empowerment through change and through significance. Hopefully we will resonate with most Scorpios out there. And we will look deeply into the 8th house. So I'm going to get started with a karmic reading for the month of September 2023, and then we'll move into the Great Mirror. Okay, interesting. There is a shift here when it comes to karma. It's moving to the 7. There's something about closing off a path to be objective. Closing off a way of attention to be objective. Shifting from the Page of Swords to the Page of Cups, okay, to be objective. And to also be detached from your ideals, okay? You're motivated by the mind to look into the past painfully, to see an element of stagnation that has been occurring for the past 2 months, something like that. It's a painful process. It has to do with the cycle of 3 of Swords, okay? But you contribute to the 2 of Swords, giving a sense of the 3. Now, when the 2 of Swords is here, the 7th house is activated. There also is Gemini's energy. The 3rd house is activated. 3rd and 7th. There's something about this where you are trying to cardinalize or bring forward the element of air to a point of detachment. Now, the actual pain or the actual cycle is fabricated. There's an artificial quality of contributing to the 2 of Swords, making the 3 in a past sort of retrospect to see where something has been missing, to see where you've been dealing with 2 different ways of thinking and stuck at this point, a point of crisis, trying to release the blindfold of illusion in order to come up with clarity, okay? Thinking in one way, doing in another, having 2 different truths, sort of clashing with each other in terms of crisis, in terms of the X, okay, the 10. And this allows for a transformation from the Page of Swords that looks backwards to the Page of Cups that looks forwards. And what the Page of Cups is looking forwards to is essentially the 6 of Swords. So it's a very interesting dynamic here. There's a lot of air. There's a lot of thinking, intellect, the possibility to bring forward from the process of thought, from a meditative standpoint. And the Page of Swords also came up for Taurus's energy too. So there's a lot that has to do with this path of initiation through the 3rd house primarily. And as we move to this Piscean Page of Cups, okay, there's an ability to idealize certain things and to come up with this escapist thing, the Neptune quality of trying to depart, to release and to abstract what is necessary to abstract what is necessary to come to some sort of understanding, okay? This has to do with perspectives that come through travel, that allow you to see the past objectively for what it is in terms of your ideas, and then coming into the future, there's something romantic, there's something also potentially very great in terms of fulfillment, in terms of the page. But then Neptune sort of brings this in. There's a very dreamy quality, and it's a very difficult period for you to sort of stabilize or ground. For the time being, there's not much air, there's not much earth in this equation. Most of it is like detached modes of observation. The 2 of Swords contributes to the 8, creating essentially this feeling of binding in terms of your thoughts, seeing and watching your thoughts. There's a possibility a great deal that has to do with being detached and observing one's own thoughts and the production of the mind, okay? Then as you do this, you move forward to this departure element, wherein maybe even 2 halves of yourself, the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups, ride the boat and cross the ferry over River Styx to come into the sort of departure mode, this like flighty, sort of dreamy quality. This Neptune induced, but also I would say out of the triplicity of air, all air signs actually, the element of air is generally very fleeting, very putting on airs sort of thing. I like it. At the same time, it's extremely, it's a time for a lot of reflection in the past, but also projection into the future. There's a very reverie like quality, rumination, lots of like Neptune and the floaty triplicity of air being activated karmically for the energy of Scorpio. There is a transformation between past and future, and it has to do with the sort of artificial pain or the artificial sort of bondage of the mind and letting that loose, becoming more free, letting that loose, and essentially being influenced by the element of water that carries the departure sequence, that carries the movement into the 6 of Swords. Now we're gonna go ahead and look into the quantum triangle. Quantum triangle is an experimental tool devised by the twin sun to see energies of apotheosis, of transformation of the material world and sublimating that into a mode of ascension for Scorpio. We'll also be looking in past and future positions. So, let's see here what was important, the 6. Okay, we have Judgment. We have the Four of Pentacles. So let's see here. There's something about the ground that is very important. Calling your ground, calling your shots, being above ground, and calling it for what it is. Something about your terra firma, what you define as ground level, what you define as having the most sort of flat divine quality. Coins are very important. How you call a coin and judge a coin according to where it lands and how you call it out. There's a sense of prediction in the mode of ascension here for Scorpio. This also has to do with really holding your ground, your fortress, your domain, working with the order in order to maintain the cornerstone. There is a sense of shielding from reanimation, from any sort of regenerative qualities, which makes you somewhat rigid and conservative. And it would be wise to be so, to do so, to be grounded, and to also be very practical in terms of what you are animating or reanimating in your life. Focus more on animation, on like just what's living already, what what comes from the ground, where your harvest is, how you hold on to your resources is very important. In the past sequence, we have the Hanged Man and the Death card. Interesting, very strong. In the future, we have the High Priestess and the Nine of Cups in the reverse. Now, the Nine of Cups is coming up with Taurus as well. Tower as the major influence here. Now, when the Tower comes up, wow, this Picasso deck. Oof. There's something about the sequence of pentacles that allows for a mode of transformation. The Tower is usually indicative of languages. I'm talking about multiple languages. The ability for us to live according to our fall, to understand what has fallen, what has been sort of lost, and what has been gleaned from that. There's a sense of a loss of power here when it comes to a transformation that is holding on to this transformation of love. And also the Six of Swords, departure into a new gateway that leads to your 7th house. And that is through Taurus, through Taurus and through Libra, the Empress card. There's an activation here of the 2nd and 7th houses that tries to put in a sense of foundation work. This has to do with the Ace of Swords that comes from the difference of the 5 in reverse and the 6 in the upright. And 2 of Cups. Okay, I see here a major transformation that is influenced by the solar energy, primarily the Lion's Gate. This allows you to let go of any pretenses, of anything that is artificial. And it allows you to also explore and come to the Empress, come to the Empress and come to the High Priestess here. In the past part of the quantum layering, both quantum triangles, here's the first triangle, the second triangle. We have here the Death card, as well as the Hanged Man, 12 and 13. There's the 8th house as well as the 11th house. Okay, so this is fixed energy. This is also the gateway, letting something die out, reaping from what is sown, coming into the gateway, but then not doing anything there. This is a path of wisdom, of grounding, and finding the grounding in order to become, I would say, more accepting of the gifts that come through, I want to call it illusion, but also there's a mystical sort of gift giving here. You just have to set the foundation. It's like an altar or a structure, a holy structure. It has to be made on the right, correct foundation. And this is usually a foundation that is geomagnetic. It has a pull, it has a sense of gravity. Naturally, according to ley lines or according to the will of God or the landing of a meteorite, all of this, it speaks about finding the right location in terms of traveling, in terms of also transformation, your inheritance, your goals, your ambitions, seeing the gateway, and then not making the choice, but waiting at the gateway. This is because you are sort of setting the foundation work to call it as it is, to call it where it lands. Now, each time you flip a coin, it actually activates a geomagnetic spin that helps to triangulate, if you will, or reify a chance occurrence. Now, there are no chance occurrences. Everything, it's not merely coincidental. There's the hand of fate or fatalism or some sort of deterministic quality that allows for the coin to land, as it will. That's one way of reading it. You could also read that there's just, a chance for it to animate or reanimate some sort of, some sort of cycle or a pattern that would allow it to land accordingly. There is a sense of major transformation that is fixed, that activates the fixed cross very recently. It's been activated probably through the Lion's portal for Scorpio. And with this, there is a sense of coming into a form of animation and reanimation. There is a movement or a sense of movement in terms of ground, a grounding that you can be moved by. Okay, a foundation that you could be moved by. By finding this place, And sitting there, there's an ability to actually be gifted the path of initiation through the high priestess. Okay, this is the second house, is also the 12th house. And the funny thing is that what materializes is a choice that is random, but also it has a probabilistic effect. There's some sort of like, superposition or some sort of like positioning of Scorpio that allows it to sort of be at the right place at the right time, and then be gifted a great deal of information because of the choosing of where you are at, because of getting rid of pretenses, because of going through the transformation that allows for initiation through the high priestess as well as the empress. Okay, there's a lot of secret information coming for you in the future, at least quantumly speaking. Okay, that is heavy stuff. It's the best I can do for now. All right, I do wish you well. Thank you. Bye-bye.